Alright, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Solar System, where we help you understand the system your soul goes into. And today, by popular request, we're finally getting into our series on moon rituals, right? And today in particular, which you can tell by the darkness and lack of moonlight that we have going on, we're going to be doing the new moon rituals. Alright guys, now before we get too deep into it, you know the drill. We have to break down the mechanisms and the underlying mechanics of how this shit actually works, right? But before we get into that, we need to break down a couple things that you need to know before we show you this little tutorial on how to manifest and plant seeds utilizing the new moon. Now, what you may need is an individual such as yourself, a person, an individual with perspective that actually has desires and will to manifest something for their own intentions and volition and, just desiring to experience something in general, right? So you can check that box. Now, we also need a piece of paper or something that you can actually remember and have some sort of recollection on the same exact full moon of whatever sign you're actually working with, right? Because the individual signs and energies that the moon is in may be extra credit. However, it is extremely valuable extra credit to you. We'll get into that later. Now, the next thing you'll need is an actual altar or a control panel to actually plant the seed in, to put it in your little esoteric safe box so it can grow, manifest, and actually sprout when you release it on the full moon. Because if you leave it cooking and you don't release it and you don't take something out the oven, you're just going to have some burnt piece of shit that you never used, and what's the point of even manifesting? So this is very important. So remember what you have going on.
Alright, what's going on, guys? I bet you guys weren't expecting a little switcheroo we pulled up on you. But let's talk about you as the individual doing a new moon ritual real quick. What this boils down to is basically analyzing your state of being before you do a new moon ritual, so you understand where you are coming from when you are trying to plant your seeds and manifest something. Because if you are coming from a place that is in dis-ease, basically, where you're trying to manifest out of, say, anger or unhappiness without really knowing what causes that and what you want to do to fix it, well, then your manifestations may be a little out of hand or not exactly what you expect. But this is a double-edged sword, because if you start analyzing too deep, well, you might consume your entire time analyzing yourself, start overthinking, and make yourself even more in dis-ease to a point where you're not going to manifest anyway. So this requires the balance of understanding your energy and knowing what's wrong, what you would like to change, without getting too far into it to the point where it makes you sick inside. So we'll see you guys in the next section, where we're talking about actually how to write down the things that you want to manifest.
Alright guys, now this shit's simple as a motherfucker. So basically, when we're actually writing down what we got going on, you're just writing down what you got going on. I don't know what there is else to tell you. Alright guys, so now into the third but most important step, your altar, your esoteric control panel. The little spot where you put your crystals, your spot where you hold your focus and your intentions, your energy every day, maybe a spot you meditate towards, your favorite direction. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Now, how you do your altar is really up to you and actually your intentions and what you want to work with. So it really does depend on you. So with that being the case, a few rules to your altar that you need, that is very necessary to symbolize the duality and the dualistic natures that we're living in, as well as the most important part, your night and day pillar. This is very important because it symbolizes duality, light, dark, everything that lies in between, the realm of all possibilities, no shape and form, a shape and form, all that stuff, right? It symbolizes that and splits the means of whatever you're trying to work with, right? In whatever dimension you're trying to get in contact with and actually plant your seed in that space. So with that being the case, there's a lot of rhymes and reasons to why you may need a night and day pillar to symbolize your altar. But just make sure this is candles, something to light, something to not light, depending on whatever you're working with, right? Now, the next step that what you want to do is you actually want to place your intentions and desired manifestations on your altar. Now, when this is the new moon, lighting it, you probably want to light the candles very seldomly, because it's supposed to symbolize dark, the depths, the emptiness, the space of lacking, that you can actually fill it with something, so that you're not just adding too much on to something like a full moon where things are trying to be released and it's like, why are you trying to put more light on? I'm already illuminated enough. Which is why you always want to plant your seeds in the dark. So with that being the case, you probably want to look at something more like this. Something kind of dark, but usually pitch black. Now, depending on the actual full moon and what you want to manifest with, it'll depend on the next section when we get into a little more of the extracurriculars.
Alright guys, so let's hop into the extracurricular aspect of the new moon rituals. But before we hop into talking about signs and energy and all that, there's a couple of things we need to mention. and that is the first thing you need to remember about doing a new moon ritual is not to shed any light on it until it is time for you to shed light on it. Now, what this means is don't talk about it, try not to think about it, don't let anybody know about it unless you're doing it with another person, of course. Then obviously, you both being there at the same time, you kind of can't not tell them about it because they were there. But other than that, don't tell anyone about it, don't think about it, try not to even remember that you even did it until it is time for you to shed light on that, aka the full moon, where you actually want to receive the fruits from the seeds that you have planted. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about candles again for a second. Now, when you're doing a new moon ritual and you want it to be dark, there are a few times where you can light a candle or two, and that is typically when the new moon is in the sign of a fire element. So Aries or Leo. Sagittarius, maybe just do one or none of them at all. But with Aries and Leo, you can kind of get away with having the room a little bit more well lit. But since we're talking about the signs, let's hop into the actual extra credit part of that. And arguably one of the most important aspects of this is understanding the energy of the moon when you are planting your seeds as well as when you want to receive that seed. So for example, we are filming this on a Pisces new moon. So with that, the energy that we want to keep in mind when we are writing down our seeds and putting the energy to manifest this is something that flows well, riding a vibe that we want to ride when it is time to receive the fruits for actually planting these seeds 6 months down the road when the sun is in Virgo and the full moon will be in Pisces. Now, for example, if you're going to do this on a, say, Capricorn new moon, you'd want to plant your seeds around your business or your status, your career, your job. Maybe getting a little bit into what people think about you, but for the most part, you'd want to keep it very...
How do you want people to look at you? Just simple as that.
Alright, now say you want to do this on a Aries new moon. This is a fire sign and it is cardinal. So you'd want to basically plant your seeds around vision. What is something that you want to experience? What is something that you do not have in your life that you want to manifest into this realm? But basically you want to attach a perspective or feeling about this. So what kind of experiences do you want to experience? And use that spark to manifest those things to you.
Alright guys, so before we wrap it up, we can't give you an exact tutorial on how to do this. However, what we need to do is to make sure that you know that the basics of a new moon manifestation ritual. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself together, make sure yourself is right before you do anything. We all know everybody is messing that up, including, everyone. So everyone in this dimension, at least, you know what I'm saying? You live in this world, you know what I'm talking about. Now, basically what you need to do is you need to get yourself together, get your ideas and your manifestations together, get the vibration that you want to ride so you can actually achieve a frequency to start coming up with ideas and thoughts on what you actually want to experience, a variation of a vibration. And what you also want to do is make sure you have those things that you actually want to manifest placed on your altar, your esoteric control panel, and a little bit of time and moment of quiet, just sitting back and expression of what you want to experience. This can be in any shape or form. Just make sure it's mostly in the dark, and you should take a few moments to direct that energy on your altar so you can actually focus on what you want to experience. Now, a little recap on what we learned. We learned what we need to do in terms of what we need, ourselves, our intentions, our manifestations, and a means to get ourselves into the right vibrations and frequencies to actually achieve what we want for the future. Because remember, if you're in negative vibrations doing a new moon manifestation ritual, you are going to hate the past version of yourself 6 months from now. And you probably just want to let that seed go and just, kick rocks until the new moon rolls around again and you can release it on the full moon. The next thing we learned is how to write things down. I don't have to teach you that. Other than, I'm just going to quit it. You just got to write things down. And then the other thing we learned is the basics of altar creation. We're going to have a whole video on altar creation in itself, but now is a little gist, right? You need your night pillar, you need your day pillar, symbolizing night and day, unconsciousness, subconsciousness, and then consciousness, right? You got to have all that symbolizing so the universe actually knows you have your esoteric control panel together. And other than that, that's pretty much it. We learned a little bit about the moon signs, but you guys can figure that out. We have other videos that'll help you with that. But anyways, that's it, guys. Peace.
Fly high, bitches.